legends. So, UFC super fan Ariel Helwani, massive super fan of the UFC, number one best friend and supporter of Dana White, some would say. Ariel Helwani, he's jumped on his show. He's talked about how Magomed Ankalaev winning the belt, get mogged Alex Pereira and Alex Pereira fans. I'm just kidding. Relax. I know you guys are still hurt. Let's play nice. Sorry, that was mean of me. Let's play nice. Look, he's talked about how Magomed Ankalaev beating Alex Pereira, very close fight, beating Alex Pereira is an absolute nightmare for the UFC. This is a worst case scenario for them. Apparently the UFC is absolutely devoid of superstars now. This is a horrible, horrible thing. The UFC is in the dark ages now without Alex Pereira. This is what I'm talking about. People loved Alex Pereira, man. A lot. So now we're in the dark ages. Now there's no light for the UFC. This is worst case scenario. So today we're just going to look at that. We're going to analyze that. We're going to break down why I believe that is wrong and how this isn't the absolute nightmare scenario for the UFC. Firstly, let's check out Ariel's words.
Mistake about it. This is a nightmare scenario for the UFC. And I say that only because Alex Pereira is arguably the most popular active fighter in the UFC right now. I stress, and he just lost his title in a very close fight, and we'll weigh in on how it should have gone in a moment, to someone who is nowhere near as popular as him, not even in the same stratosphere. And I was trying.
So is this truly horrible for the UFC? Is Magomed Ankalaev as the champion the worst thing that could possibly happen? I obviously disagree with this. I don't really think the UFC has been as well positioned heading into 2025 since maybe 2020 when we were in the Izzy Usman Volk era, and we had this problem before. When Conor seemed to be out of the sport for a while, where were the superstars? And then Izzy, Usman, and Volk sort of rose to prominence, and that was a great era. And now that era is leaving us behind, and again, everyone's, oh, geez, this is the dark ages. I'm not going to deny that Alex Pereira is a very big star. He's clearly a massive star, one of the biggest in the UFC at the moment, obviously. But it was a very, very close and competitive fight with someone who is undeniably his hardest contender. There is a reason that they were working through the rest of the light heavyweight division while leaving the number one contender over here on his own for some reason. And on that, I'm not even going to deny that Alex Pereira has probably lost a little bit of his shine, right? You will no longer see people on the employees of the UFC, on the UFC weigh-in show, bringing up hypothetical matchups about some of the greatest fighters of all time, Charles Oliveira against Alex Pereira. And then they're going to act like it's even silly to ask that question. Obviously, Alex Pereira just knocks him out by looking at him. Obviously, the level of shine on Alex Pereira and the amount of aura is going to take a little bit of a hit. But personally, I think that's a good thing. The Alex Pereira glaze was reaching unbearable levels, okay? But that doesn't mean his fan base is going to dwindle at all. I don't think it will dwindle at all. If anything, I believe that his fan base will become more solidified because of how close that fight was. The judging on rounds 3 and 5, I wouldn't be angry at anyone's scorecard for rounds 3 and 5. It was such a razor close fight either way, which means, right, when you've got sometimes a diehard fan base that believe they just lost a fight via robbery. And I'm not saying that the fight against Magomed was a robbery, but if they interpret it to be a robbery, that often drives more heated interest from that fan base because they want to get that win back and they believe they can get it back. Recent example for those of us with not great memories like myself, Sean Strickland, Dricus du Plessis, fight number 1. The Sean Strickland fans were just rabid that he had won that first fight and he deserved another title shot. This is a similar thing that's going to happen with Alex Pereira. It's going to drive more hype and more interest. Let us face it, right? If Alex Pereira had beaten Magomed Ankalaev, there would have not been a lot left for him at light heavyweight. Maybe a Nikita Krylov? Maybe, I don't know, maybe a third fight with Yuri Prohaska, yeah, but then we would also have to deal with the annoying state of the UFC and Dana White, who would be trying to convince us fans that Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira is a super fight that needs to happen, and we'll look after Tom Aspinall, we'll figure out something for him, he's a great kid. That was going to happen. They don't release on ESPN MMA Alex Pereira versus Jon Jones cooking 2 days before the pay-per-view for no reason. You need to become a better dot connector if you think that got put up on ESPN for no reason. On God, bro. For real. Right? Now, that is no longer the case. That is gone now. gone. Right now, light heavyweight is going to have some time to percolate and bubble, which is what we needed, right? Are we going to end up with Yuri Prohaska versus the winner of Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg? Are we going to end up with Magomed fighting Yuri next while Alex takes some time off to heal and then maybe come back with a better game plan? Maybe gamble that Yuri can beat Magomed and he knows that he can beat Yuri. Like, there are things happening now at light heavyweight that were not happening 2 days ago. We now also have Tom Aspinall free, right? John Jones, he cannot go anywhere. He has to fight Tom Aspinall or vacate. All of these things, they create uncertainty, they create excitement about what is going to happen next. Each one of them is an interesting option. But Ariel here seems to be more talking about star power, right? There's no superstars, which is fair enough. However, DDP is going to be, I'm saying DDP is going to be massive if he beats Khamzat Chimaev. Massive. Or if Khamzat beats DDP, if Khamzat does what he's done to everyone else and tears through DDP in the first round, even Westerners are going to get around Khamzat. I'm telling you, all the Westerners that used to be behind Khabib and go smash, brother, smash. I was one. They're going to get behind Khamzat. I'm telling you, right? Ilia Topuria is huge. They parade him around arenas in Europe. What it takes the entire Octagon show to do, Ilya does just with a wave, okay? Bilal, fucking don't worry about him. He's old. It's either going to be JDM or Buckley as the next champs. They're in the chamber. Either one of them is great options for the UFC. It's going to be JDM. And then the sleeper, not sleeper, but the Fighting Nerds storyline. Once they are cemented in the rankings, all four of them, doing what they're doing, Ruffy, the Conor McGregor clone, Prates, I don't give a fuck, I got one hitter and I'm taking a cigarette while I'm doing it. Caio Borralho. Yeah, look, every team needs its Hawkeye. You know what I mean? There's not really a solo story for you, mate. You know, but that's fine. That's fine. And then Jan Silva, Gene Silva, whatever, the emotional psychopath. This, if they repeat the last 12 months that they just had, I am telling you, the star power of this team will be insane because you are not just celebrating like you usually do with a fighter once or twice a year. Take a JDM, take a Volkanovski, take an Ilia Topuria, take your bloody pick, mate, right? They're only in there once or twice a year if we're lucky. No. This time it'll be the Fighting Nerds 4 to 6 times a year. It's like the MMA brother effect on steroids. If you don't know what the MMA brother effect is, it means brothers in MMA, they tend to get to popularity quicker because the fans hear the last name more often and they usually see their brother walking into the arena, walking through the crowd with them. So it creates repetition and gets it into the fans' minds twice as fast as a usual fighter. Well, the Fighting Nerds are doing that times 4, bro. Times 4. It's going to be, if they repeat the last 12 months, we're on, boys. We're on. So the idea that Magomed Ankalaev winning the belt is a nightmare for the UFC, and the UFC is in a star power vacuum, and the sport's in turmoil, and what are we going to do? And I'm Ariel, and I need the stars because I'm not that interesting. I completely disagree. There's so much stuff coming down the pipeline that the fans can grow around and get around. There's so much coming down the pipeline. It's going to be insane. What really hurts the UFC, really, is the lack of steroids or anybody with any athletic ability in the men's heavyweight division and WMMA. Those two things actually hurt the brand because they clog up the cards, slow everything down. It's not the lack of star power. There's plenty of star power in the relevant and interesting divisions of the men's divisions. But then there's this narrative of like, well, Magomed is just boring, he doesn't speak English. Like, you don't have to like Magomed, you know, but then there's this other narrative of like most of the fighters, the champions now don't speak English. Like this Muppet looking for the truth, right? It certainly doesn't help your American company when none of your fighters speak English anymore. I won't even touch on the other issue involving certain champions. Yeah, like, the criticism coming out that they don't speak English or they're not interesting because they don't speak English, just like Alex, it's insane to me because we just lost Alex Pereira. This is all in backlash to losing Alex Pereira, who doesn't speak English. This coming from someone called Always Looking for the Truth. No wonder he can't find it using logic like that. The truth is not that hard to find, man. We live in a electromagnetic simulation, and the physical manifestation of that simulation is controlled by a small group of elites who get their orders from a demon living in the planet Saturn. It's not that hard to figure out, mate. But no, the English thing is not a problem. The English thing is not a problem. There's been lots of fighters that don't speak English, right? Alex Pereira was one. Khabib's English wasn't great. Charles Oliveira, massive star, doesn't speak a bloody word of English, mate. Shavkat, big star, doesn't speak any English. Jose Aldo, one of the GOATs, doesn't speak English. Going all the way back to Fabricio Verdum, doesn't speak any English. You got Merab Dvalishvili, doesn't speak a bloody word of English. Stipe Miocic, the greatest heavyweight of all time, doesn't speak a word of bloody English. All you need is sick fights, yeah? Islam's fights are always sick and exciting fights. Even if it's with a low-ranked guy, somehow they go life and death. I love Islam. He's clearly the best fighter in the world, but it's true. Why does it feel like every time Islam's in the cage, he's about to get his bloody head kicked in and he just comes out on top and does it amazingly at the same time? The man boggles the minds, yeah? Shavkat has aura. Hamzat is insane. Everything is, even if they don't speak English, everything is fine when it comes to the star power in the UFC. This idea that there's no good champions now, in my opinion, there's only two bad champions. Pantoja is amazing to watch. If you were a fan of MMA, you have to watch Pantoja because he can do it all, and he can do it all at the right time. Merab is winning a fan base. I've talked to the live stream about this 100 times. They are all on board the Merab train now. They think he is funny as shit. Ilya is exciting. Volk is back. Lopez will be a star. Islam is amazing. What's his name's a bit of a dud, but that's fine. He'll be gone soon. He's old again. DDP is the biggest Chad walking the earth right now. And if Hamzat gets through him, madness. Fine, we have Magomed Ankalaev for now, but it doesn't matter. He's not going to be there for long. Yuri will kick his head in. And John Jones is a psycho. At any day now, while this video is being recorded, he could announce a fight with Tom Aspinall, or we could hear that he is in jail. Anything could happen at any moment. And to replace him, we have a man who has finished the entire heavyweight roster, who speaks perfect English in one round. It's Tom Aspinall. Ariel's comments are so off the mark to me, it's bizarre. It's bizarre. The UFC, obviously everything could be better, but the UFC is health check? Fine, Ariel. Stop rage baiting. That's it, boys. That's my 2 cents. Let me know what you think about that. Do you think the UFC is lacking in star power? Do you think everything's looking fine down there? Who are you looking forward to the most coming up the pipeline? You let me know down there in the comments. If this is your first time here, g'day, my name's Dougie. I try and make a video every day of the week, Monday through Friday. I try and go live at least 3 times a week. If you want to know when all of that happens, hit the notification bell, the subscribe button. If you're already on board with the channel, you want to help it grow, please hit that like button. It definitely helps the channel grow. Leave a comment, even if it's just red dog. Why? I don't know. Just popped into my head. Red dog. And if you're one of the paying members of the channel, thank you so much. Your names are up on the next slide. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. See you, boys.